it's Ukulele Saz. Welcome back to another video, and this is going to be part one of a series all about the circle of fifths. Up until now, I have mentioned subtly the circle of fifths in some of my videos, and if you are a member on my BuyMeACoffee page, then you'll actually see the circle of fifths in every single lesson material that you have received from me. And there is a reason for that. I think the circle of fifths is a really useful tool. It can help spark even more curiosity as a musician. It can really help you understand the chords and the notes that you're playing and make sense of the language of music that little bit more. It can be a little bit daunting learning about the circle of fifths, which is why I'm breaking it down into parts. I'm going to explain each thing one bit at a time, give you the basics of it, and then give you some challenges to take away until we come back for the next video. So I hope you enjoy this. Don't forget to check out the other videos too. And if you really enjoy this video, check out my BuyMeACoffee page where you can become a TabShack member for £3 a month and get access to my weekly lesson materials and song sheets and more. So let's get started. So what exactly is the circle of fifths? This diagram here, you may have seen it plenty of times and it may seem just like a mystery wheel of chords, which in a way I guess it is. But once we start learning about it, you'll see that this is actually a very magic visual tool that is really super helpful. So the literal definition of the circle of fifths is a way of organising the 12 chromatic pitches in a series of fifths. Did that make sense? Yeah, it took me a little second to get my head around that too. And if music theory is not something that you're used to, then that probably sounds like gibberish. So what we're going to do today is we're going to understand the chords that are on this circle. We're going to understand the outside chords, the inside chords, and from this diagram we're going to see which chords belong to which key signature or chord family, and then see how to use them as well. So, as you can see on this diagram, we have our circle of fifths. We start at the top with C, to the right we've got G, D, A, E, and that follows all the way right round until you've got your B flat, your F, and back to C again. Around the outside of the circle are our major chords. Around the inside of the circle are our minor chords. As you can see, there's 12 major and there's 12 minor chords on here. The second thing is that each little section of these chords can be grouped together, and what that shows us is which chords belong to which key, which chord family. Now, a key in music, or a chord family, is essentially a group of notes or chords that are organised together that make sense. They work harmoniously together, they work as a family. So let's start here with the key of C. The key of C. Now, how we figure out which chords belong to the key of C, which chords sound good in the key of C, we have to have a look at this diagram. We start with C, and the rule is whichever chord touches C belongs in the key of C. So we have C, we have F, and we have G, we have D minor, we have E minor, and then directly underneath we have A minor. So the key of C major contains all 6 of those chords. A couple of things to note: there are 3 major chords and there are 3 minor chords. Second thing to note, A minor shares the same chords as C. So that is called the relative minor. It's related to C. It shares the same family as C. So when we're playing in the key of C and when we're playing in the key of A minor, you'll find most of the same chords. And we'll come to that a little bit more after. Let's see how this works as we move around the diagram. Let's have a look at the key of G. So the key of G, we have C and D, that's our 3 major chords. And then our minor chords, we have A minor, E minor, and B minor. So the 3 major chords and the 3 minor chords. And this time, our relative minor is E minor. Those chords all belong in a family. Let's have a look at another one. So let's look at A. Our relative minor is F sharp minor. And the chords that belong, D, A, and E, are our major chords, and F sharp minor, B minor, and C sharp minor are our minor chords. Again, just another key. If we have a little look at the other side of the circle, we are taking the key of E flat or C minor, the relative minor. And our major chords are E flat, B flat and A flat. And our minor chords are C minor, F minor and G minor. Can you see the patterns here? Can you see how that works as we move around the circle? So now we know how to identify which key signature we're in, if it's C, G, D. We now need to know, how do we know if it's major or minor? If G and E minor and C and A minor and E flat and C minor all contain the same chords, how do we know if it's the key of E flat or if it's the key of C minor? Now, the answer to this is two things. The first thing that we generally look at is what is the starting chord of the song and the ending chord of the song. If we're playing in the key of C, F, A minor, and then we end on a C, we're playing in the key of C because we've started with C and we've ended with C. If it was the key of A minor, generally we will start with A minor or and end with A minor. The other thing to listen for is the feel of the song. If it has a more minor feel, if you can feel there's a lot of A minors, maybe the chord progression is A minor, F, A minor, C. You can feel that that's a little bit darker. Let's swap those chords over. I'm going to replace the C for the A minor and the A minor for C. C, F, A minor, C. Did you notice how that had a much brighter feel to it? And it seemed a little bit happier. That's us in our major key. So generally speaking, the brighter sounding songs, if they start and end with the major chord, then most likely it's in that key. And if it starts and ends with the minor chord, then most likely it's going to be in that key as well. And again, this works for every key in the circle of fifths. Now this is the first step that's really important when you're learning the circle of fifths, is to understand that. And when I say understand that, I don't mean just watching this video and saying, right, okay, that makes sense, what's the next thing? Because yes, you can learn the next thing, that's not a problem, but it really helps to put that into practice. So here are a couple of things that you can do that will really help you solidify this and understand this. The first thing is, anytime you're looking at a song, I want you to look at the chords that you are playing. Can you try and identify which chord family we're looking at? Let's have a look at what's love got to do with it. One of my first tutorials. Look at the key. We have G minor, we have E flat, we have B flat, we have F. So that could be, let's have a little look at the circle. It could be the key of F, there's an F, there's a B flat, there's a G minor, but there's also an E flat there. So it probably makes more sense, we're starting with the minor chord, so it's the key of G minor. We've got G minor, B flat, F and E flat. Starts with the minor chord. So that's an example of one. The second thing I want you to do is to get curious. I want you to notice any chords that don't fit. That could be maybe there's a D being played in the key of C when normally it would be a D minor. I want you to make a note of that because we're going to cover all of these things as we go. I want you to have a little look at if there's any different chord types, 7 chords, suspended chords, major 7th, minor 7th, all of these different things, because you'll notice that those aren't included in the circle of fifths. It's simply the major and the minor chords, because again, chords are something else that we'll look at in the future too. But up until now, these are two things that you can do that can really help you understand. Writing them down and then writing down the ones that don't make sense, because we'll come back to those later and hopefully they will start to make sense. Another thing that you can do is try and write out the chords. See if you can come up with your own little chord progression in that key. So you might start nice and easy, take the key of C and think, right, I'm going to write something in C. I'll start with C, I'll end with C, and I'm going to use a combination of these chords and just mess around. C, B minor, F, C, G, B minor, C. Saying that sounds like it makes sense. Those chords all fit together. So even by doing an exercise like that, that can really help you to memorise which chords belong in each key too. Over time, what you'll start to notice is you'll find it a lot easier to know which key you're playing in, just because you've spent that little bit of time working on it and looking at the song and thinking, right, okay, that's this key. And then when you see another song that uses those chords, straight away you'll know, oh, that's the key of F. It will take a little bit of time, but just by taking that extra bit of effort, it can really make a big difference. And then lastly, another thing that you can do is take a look at the chords that you see overlap, because then you'll start to recognise which chords belong in different keys. But I guess that's an extra step. Now I've got one more challenge for you that will take you into the next part of the circle of fifths. The next time we look at this lesson, we are going to expand a little bit and understand how to make scales from these chords. So your challenge is, I want you to write out in musical alphabet order from the key signature, the order of the chords. So if we're playing in C, C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor. Try that with some different keys on the circle of fifths, and that will help lead on to the next lesson really, really nicely. So I hope this video has made sense. I hope it's helped you to understand the circle of fifths at least just a little bit. I would love to know what your thoughts are in the comments. I would love to know if you've put this into practice, how you've put this into practice, and we will expand on this in much more detail. This is the first step. Make sure you understand this first step, and it will make the rest of the process that much easier and more fun to follow. If you'd like the lesson materials, if you'd like the theory sheets, check out my Buy Me a Coffee page, £3 a month, and you'll get access to all of my other lessons that I've already put out there too, and you'll get access to everything moving forward also. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you for part 2.